Hello Guardians, it is Ebontis here, and I want to talk about public events with you guys. Now, public events are an event that will occur in a patrol space, so pretty much just as you're roaming around on any planet. You can check them on the map to know where they're going to be, and also when they're going to start, which is a nice indication, so multiple people can hopefully try and group up. You may be the only one around for that public event. You may have 6 people roaming around in the same place. Now, public events have a normal version, where you go through, you'll have something go on, you'll be able to shoot enemies or, stay in a certain space for a certain amount of time. Whatever it is, you'll be able to finish it as a normal event. You'll get a little bit of experience, small chest will open, basic stuff. But there are ways to make every public event a heroic version. Now, the heroic version is going to do multiple things for you. It's going to grant you more EXP, which is going to help you with both your power bonus on your artifact and also move you across your season pass a little quicker. There are potentially some bounties. As you can see, one actually just popped up. So right here, public event tally, there's a 5-minute timer on it. So you can also have some bounties that need heroic public events completed. So you need to know how to turn these things into heroics. You also, when the planet has the flashpoint on it, so the daily vendor will actually show that the flashpoint is required. The public events, when you turn them heroic, will make quicker progress on that, and you'll get a better chance at loot. Now, I don't know if they do exotics anymore. They've changed where some of those drops, but previously, at least before Shadowkeep, you would actually know that a public event could have a chance to drop something. Now, it was ultra rare. Just like most things, exotics can drop in random places, but making an heroic increased that chance ever so slightly. So, in general, the main things you're looking to try and do with heroics or get that experience, maybe work on bounties, work on your flashpoint a little bit quicker. But the other thing is sometimes turning a public event to a heroic version actually can make it quicker. So for example, the injection rig. So that's a Cabal public event, and there's a ship that comes down. You'll see this later in the video. And when you shoot that ship, prettier like, a third into the event, once that ship dies, the boss will spawn. And when the boss spawns and dies, which usually can get killed pretty quickly if people are around, it's over. As opposed to waiting for the entire duration of the event, you shorten it up by at least probably half. So there are benefits to making these heroic. Now, not every public event is shorter when you make it heroic. Some are longer, but again, the bonus experience, the bounties that may need done, and then also moving the flashpoint along if you're on that planet, usually outweigh the few that potentially can, be shorter if you run them normal. Now, not all public events will look exactly the same. The public event that's coming right now is the one with the Arsenal Walker. It's going to look different where in its current location on Titan right here in the rig versus over here in Siren's Watch. They're going to look similar, but it's not going to have the exact same setup. A public event also happens to be on the moon, for example. So again, the big thing to note here, and I think it's even on the European Dead Zone. So public events can appear in different places, but the functionality of that public event will always be the same. For example, there is a public event right here where my mouse is on the rig, just below the landing zone, kind of opposite where the current one is right now. And that one's called the Witch's Ritual. Now, on the moon, it's in kind of a smaller enclosed room. On Titan, where I'm looking right now. But on the moon, it is actually in a pretty open space. It's in the Hellmouth, and it's a little more spread out. Same function applies to it, where you have the witches and the crystals. Again, I'll show you guys that when we get there. So just know, public events can be on different planets. You may have the Taken public event on the European Dead Zone. It may also be on Io. Depends on where it is. And in the same location, it won't always be the same public event. On Siren's Watch, it's always the same public event. It's the big Arsenal Walker with the Fallen. But here on the rig, the public event here is the Arsenal Walker as well. But if it's down here, it's going to be the Witch's Ritual. So the actual spawn location on the map can actually tell you what public event it is going to be. So if you are looking for specific ones, that can benefit you. But the good thing to know about public events is once you know how to do them, if you know what public event's going on, you'll be able to do it wherever you see it. So what's going to follow is a screen with all the timestamps for the public events, because I'm going to show you a full playthrough of each public event, how to activate the heroic version, and actually complete it as well. So each one is, 3 to 5 minutes, so you guys can actually see start to finish what it looks like. Sometimes if I'm there early, I have a brief description of what's going on, and then it starts and I explain as I go. Other ones, when I caught the public event, I literally had to run to it, so kind of explained as I go and a little more on the fly. But each one is shown in full, so you can see the public event in action. So I hope this helps all of you out. Again, if you have friends that don't know how to do public events, you see people out there who aren't doing public events, don't know the differences, the XP bonuses, the chances at better loot, and just how to turn each of these heroic, they need to know them for one reason or another. Maybe it's a bounty, maybe it's experience, maybe the Flashpoint. But when you see a public event, it's always good to make it heroic most of the time, so you may as well at least know how to do it. So I hope this video helps all of you out. If it does help you, leave a comment below, say, you know, if you found something beneficial. If there's a different format you would like to see this video in, all of them are in there. All 13 are in this video, that's why it is so long. If you would like to see a breakdown by planet and things like that, there's a great graphics guy. His name is Mr. Nearest. I will put a link below in the description too. He's got an infographic with kind of a general rundown of what each one is and the planets that can be on. He's even updated that for Shadowkeep. So he's a really good resource. I'll put his links to his website. He's got some other awesome graphics as well, but this one for the public events. It's just a good resource to have on your computer somewhere in case you need to check. But once the public event activates, you'll see the animation on screen like this. So here come the timestamps for you guys. You can pick any ones that you need. Timestamps are also down below in the description, so you can have those at any point in time if you need to refer back to this. And let's get into the public events. I hope you find this beneficial. If you do, you can find me on Twitch and Twitter. It's Ebontis on both. Right here on YouTube, if you enjoy this thing, sub to the channel. I'll have a lot more content coming to help out new and veteran players alike. So thank you all, and enjoy. Alright, so this is going to be the injection rig. Now this is one that can happen on multiple planets, but the big thing about this one is you're going to have some vents to shoot. You're going to have some enemies to kill in the phases, but the vents themselves, you have to kill at least one set of vents each phase. If you can do it faster, cool, but the quicker you kill them, the better. As this giant kind of rig comes down, it opens for just a little while, so have something heavy ready. I've got a machine gun, a sniper, a shotgun, anything works. And the first set of vents is going to be up here on the top between the kind of like 3 sets of jets. So this will open for just a second. Put as much damage in as you can. Usually can't finish it right there. And then you'll have this named guy, the Infiltrator Scion. So you have 3 of those that you need to kill. Soon as this one dies, this one is one that you need to be ready quick. Because as soon as he dies, there's going to be a field that appears and you're going to start taking damage. So you need to do damage here as quickly as possible. If you die, it's not a big deal. You're just trying to get as much damage into this as you can. As soon as it starts smoking, you'll know it's good. So that one's smoking now, I'm good. I've got my second one here. I took some damage and it's fine. So you usually spawn a little outside and then you should be good to go. Grenade launchers are really effective on that. I wouldn't do rockets, they're a little bit harder. But you'll notice the vent is actually smoking now, which is what you're going for. So when the smoking actually happens, then you know you've actually taken care of the first tier. Second tier is going to be on this little ventilation opening. And again, to get those vents to open, you actually have to kill this Scion. It's really not overly difficult, especially with a group. And then here, again, put as much damage into the vents as you can. You will take damage once you're in here. So that vent is going. The third one will be on the bottom, depending on how much health you can. You might be able to get it to go. And we did get all 3. Now, as long as you get 1 per Scion, you should be okay. But if you can kill all 3 fast enough, then you're pretty much good. You just have to wait for the final Scion to come in, and when you kill the Scion, the next wave will start. Now, there could be some random guys roaming around. Not a big deal. Just take your time, kill them as you go. Basically, you're just looking for the Scion. He did. And once he dies, you'll notice you need to evacuate one more time. So now that all the vents are done, you can see the ventilation up there, the vent up there, and then underneath it can be on multiple sides. You just need to roam around until you can find it. You can hit those from all sides. Once all of them are smoking like that, the main boss will spawn. Pretty obvious because he's got the big old health bar. Infiltrator Valis is who you need to kill. Anything major will work. Super is a good time to pull this one out. And just chunk everything you can at this guy, because once he dies, your public event is done. And this is how you do the injection rig on Heroic. And again, these guys in the these little interceptor pilots, they can be a little annoying because they hurt a little bit. He doesn't take too much effort though, and he's done. So that is the injection rig Heroic. Remember, shoot each of the vents as quickly as you can, dump as much damage as you can, and even if you die on those waves where it's saying evacuate and you're taking damage, take the damage and try and get as much damage into each vent as possible, because then when all 3 are done, it's just much easier. Make sure you always grab your chest afterwards, and injection rig Heroic, done. On to the next one. So the next one that we're going to be doing is called the Ether Resupply. Now, I am over here in the outskirts. You can have it at this location. You can also have it square in the middle of Firebase Hades. So there are 2 places for this one to be on European Dead Zone. I think it's in another planet somewhere, but these are the 2 main sources that I usually see this one. Main thing you've got with Ether Resupply is a giant servitor. You'll be doing damage to him. As you do enough damage, a single small servitor will spawn. You need to kill that one quickly. And then as you continue to do damage, once you do enough, 3 servitors will spawn. Little ones again. When all 3 of those are dead, it will kick over to the heroic version. The heroic one is going to basically, when it kicks the heroic, the servitor takes less damage, so he's just going to be harder to kill, but the quicker you do it, the longer you have. Other than that, pretty straightforward, so I'm going to cut ahead to when it starts and show you guys how it works. Alright, Guardians, so you notice the giant servitor will spawn. You can take some of this at range. Main thing is just trying to get the servitor always hitting the crit spot as much as you can. And then typically try and be ready for the little servitor to spawn. So once you do enough damage, you'll see the baby servitor over here. You need to try and take him out as quick as you can. And he is down. So once that one is down, then you'll wait, try and do enough damage. Now sometimes he's going to throw you in the air. It's called Servitor's Grasp. The first one's usually not that high. Okay, he teleported me up, but it's about that high. You'll usually fall. Once you do enough damage, you will typically get him to spawn. I'm almost there too. I probably need to snipe him like one more time. Soloing public events sometimes is a little harder. But if you do enough, then he's going to go. Now's usually a good time to have a super, because that's usually a pretty effective way to kill these things and also be able to survive what's coming at you. Oh, come on, die already. There we go. So, even if you die, it's not a big deal. You can always come back. See if you got to regain yourself. Now, heroic event, you'll notice the servitor is going to take noticeably less damage. It's pretty much gathering energy from everything around it. And this is a very powerful grenade launcher, so if you're not doing as much damage as I am, don't worry. It's a very efficient grenade launcher. You notice how high up I am? Make sure you really try and slow your fall depending on your class. Catch yourself before you fall. That'll kill you. And you can do a decent amount of this from range as well. I've got 2 minutes 41 seconds just because I got him to this phase fairly quickly. And again, if you're far away, just make sure you're watching out for what's coming for you. And you also notice we have some Exploder Shanks. The servitor's going to be pretty mad at me. Exploder Shanks are nice for clearing out ads. But just take your time. I'm doing little damage to him right now, so just be careful. Again, he's going to throw you in the air a little bit. I will finish him up with a grenade launcher here, hopefully. And that will finish him up. It's not likely you'll probably be able to do that fast at first. You'll probably lose every minute of time that you can get. But that is the general idea. He will spawn, do some damage, single small servitor spawns. Then when you do more damage, 3 little servitors spawn. Then he gets more difficult to kill, and you just have to kill him without letting the rest of the stuff kill you. I know it may sound easier if you're a new player, but hopefully this guide helps you out. And again, stay at cover. You can do a lot of things from range, so a scout rifle, a pulse rifle will definitely help you out. I could fight this guy from all the way back here if I had the range, just picking him off slowly but slowly and trying to dodge what I could. Sometimes he'll throw you in the air and then just come back and retreat. But that is the Ether Resupply. A couple places you'll see that one both on the European Dead Zone and Nessus. Alright, Guardians, so we are on Titan. You'll notice the rig has 2 public event locations. This one over here a little south of the landing zone, and the one just north of the landing zone is a separate public event. But this one is going to be the Witch's Ritual. So what you're going to have is 2 platforms to stand on. You'll have one right about here, and everyone's going to be slightly differently set up, but they're all going to have 2 platforms. You've got one on each side. So over there and over here. And then what you're going to need to do to basically kick off the heroic version of the event is you're going to have 2 wizards that spawn. You need to stand on the platform to get the shield of the wizard to drop. Kill the wizard. Hopefully somebody else is on the other platform at the same time. Once both wizards die, stay on your platforms. Even if enemies are coming at you, shoot them so you can stay on the platform. What that will do is drop the shield on a little crystal up here. Both crystals need to die. They will be above the little rocks. And once those crystals die, it's going to spawn a big knight, basically a giant hive knight. You need to kill him as quickly as you can because he hurts a lot, but once he is dead, the heroic public event is done. So once this thing kicks off, I'll show you guys how it works. Alright, so Witch's Ritual is starting. You can go ahead and stand on your platform. Hopefully these people know what they're doing. And you'll see the witch has a shield. Now, if that guy's on that platform, I'm going to be over here. So we've got 1 person on each, so just make sure and try and manage the ads. As soon as you notice the shield dropped, you're going to want to try and kill the wizards as quickly as possible. Once both wizards drop, When the witches drop, stay on your platform. You'll notice the crystals will have shields around them until you stay on them. When they pop, go ahead and shoot the crystals. Should go fairly quickly. And that will kick it into heroic. It's usually a pretty quick one to get in. And then you'll notice the big dude that comes out. You'll have a lot of ads that come out in the beginning. People tend to tether or go supers here. It happens a lot. You also have some curse thrall that will be exploding at you. But the big one you're looking for is that guy. So the Abyssal Champion, that's what you're looking for. And just trying to kill him as quickly as you can with any damage you can throw at him. Now sometimes there will be another ad that spawns. This is Valbanuk the Trusted. My grenade launcher is ultra powerful, so he went down quick. This guy's the one you're looking for, the Abyssal Champion. And the Abyssal Champion, once he takes enough damage, his head will actually pop off. He'll run around a lot faster. But he goes down pretty quick with a group. There's like 6 people in here, so this was really, really fast. Well, that's the general idea. Make sure one person is on each platform. When the wizard shield breaks, kill the wizard. And then once the crystal, then stay on your platform. Once the shield on the crystal breaks, shoot the crystal and then kill the big giant Abyssal Champion in the end. And you are good to go. Grab your chest and we're on to the next one. Alright, Guardians, so the Mercury public event is definitely probably one of the more intricate ones. When you land in, especially if it's going on, usually takes a while to spawn up. You gotta run over there. But there's 2 sides to this event, and pretty much whichever side you get to first, you just need to make sure and act quickly. So you'll have certain enemies that will be spawning. They'll be all over the place, snipers up above. But what you're looking for is the Keeper of the Ages of the Past. That's going to be what actually spawns a couple orbs that you're going to need to dunk on each side. So you'll see the 2 orbs. He's got one, I've got the other. We're going to go ahead and dunk these. And then what you can do is jump on the little flyer and hover to the other side. You'll go over the middle section, which we'll get to later. Same thing over here. We've got one more. And once all 4 have been dunked, which looks like we've got one more to run up here. So all 4 have been dunked. The last side that gets cleared is going to have the launcher actually turn around, and it's going to shoot you to the far side. Now, hopefully everybody does this together. You can stand on it. As soon as it boosts you, everybody's going across. Now, it usually will give you a safe landing. It used to not, but I think they've figured out the trajectory. And you're going to have another Keeper of the Age of the Past up here. Now, once that is done, it's going to have an orb. You need to dunk it in the middle. Now, whoever dunks that in the middle may head across to the other side, but the way to make it heroic, you need to make sure somebody does this. You need to come behind the actual portal, and there's going to be some of these little crystals that appear. You need to shoot one of them. You're going to get a platform to appear, and another one. The platforms are not the same on both sides, depending on which one you shoot first. There's usually a couple crystals here, and the last one will typically have 3. So next platforms will appear, and then you'll have 3 crystals. So we got one up here, and one up here. Gotta shoot them fairly quick. These platforms will eventually go away. Jump on the platform, watch your landing, and then what you need to do, you'll have the red Vex gate in the middle. Everybody needs to stand in it, or at least just one person. Stand in here until it goes full, kind of, light blue gray. And once it's fully charged, you'll notice the heroic is good. And now you still have to go back to the other side and actually kill the Keeper of the Ages on the complete other side. So you're going to launch quite a ways across. Now they may be handling it on the other side, so it looks like they did. Once the other side has taken care of their Keeper, the Gate Lord will be up in the middle. Now he's the hard one to kill. He has a couple immunity phases. So what's going to happen on him, depending on how quick people kill him, I'm going to try and kill him a little slower. There you go. He goes immune. And you're going to have another one of these Keepers that spawn. Watch the Fanatics. They will be exploding. Once the Keeper goes down, you're going to have an orb that drops. Come over here. And best way just to kind of grab this, it'll launch you over the top. And usually as you pass over the top, it will open him up. Once he's open, you can usually kill him pretty quick. And if you do it fast enough, he won't go immune again. I think we're going to miss that opportunity. Nope, we got it. Sometimes he'll have 2 immunity phases. Sometimes you will just have the one. Now, it says event complete up top, but as there are 2 chests on this one, the heroic event did count. It's just odd that the name up top is not showing it. But that is how you do the heroic. So it is a little complicated. I know that goes kind of fast. You've got to clear the Keeper on both sides. The second side that is cleared is the first one that will launch you to the far platforms. Over there, kill the Keeper. Make sure somebody dunks the orb on that platform. Some people are going to run back in. And then you need to go behind to the back edge of that platform. Whee, the crap out there. Shoot the crystals, climb up, keep shooting the crystals, climb up all the platforms, get to the top, stand in the actual kind of Vex charge circle. Once that is done, then you need to, if nobody else is doing it, come back and clear out the other side all the way back across through the jumping portal. After that is done, and both sides are completely cleared, come back to the middle and do everything you can to kill the Vex Gate Lord in time. Usually not too bad if both are done. There's enough people on Mercury that it tends to happen. So that is the Defeat the Gate Lord. This is only on Mercury, so this is the only public event on this planet and the only place you'll see it. So hopefully that helps, and on to the next one. So we have the Cryo-Pod. So basically the way the Cryo-Pod works, you'll see these little vents down here. As you, when the boss actually comes out after the 2 waves of enemies come at first, these little pods are going to open in a random order of 2. They're going to be 2 on this side, 2 on that side, 1 on each. But what you need to do is each time those open up, you'll see the gas kind of vent out and the ground is hard to stand on. What you need to do is shoot these with as much damage as you can, get them to pop open, and they're going to have a little charge. You throw the charge at the main boss who's going to be roaming around, and you have to hit him with 3 of the 4. So that's kind of the key, is time more than anything. So you're going to have a couple waves of enemies that spawn to defeat the wanted. And here is the boss. So the enemies went down quick. We've got the Tortured Abomination, so he's a little different. Now, if people kill him too quick, we'll see how fast this goes. So here's the vent. You can shoot that pretty quick. I've got a pretty powerful machine gun here. You'll pick up the core. You're going to throw it right at him. So you'll notice it's been done once by me and once by a person on the other side. Once you get enough damage done on him again, the next one will pop. And you only need 3 out of 4, so it's not as bad as some of these. Third one goes. He's going to pick it up. He's going to throw it at him. And it's going to completely freeze the boss. Now the ground still hurts, so you can be careful not to stand on it for a little while until the ground actually goes back to a normal color. But whichever this is, it can be a Cabal, it can be a Hive Knight, it can be this giant abomination over here. But basically what you do at this point is you hang here. So people need to stay in the center section until this event is done. So it's not overly difficult, it's just if people kill the boss too quickly, it's hard to get the little charges to come out to freeze him. But at this point he's just totally frozen and he's going to hang out, and you just have to wait until the capturing reaches 100. So anything you've got for defense, whether it's a wall, whether it's a rift that's going to keep you alive, there's usually some bosses that are going to show up, so there's somebody who's going to be a little more powerful. Kill those with some heavy ammo, kill that with a super, and again, just hang out and chill. They'll come in waves. Grenades are beneficial as well. Pretty much anything you can do just to help kill the ads. People will be running around, but as long as one of you is at least standing in the center, the ticker will keep going. This is typically not one where you pretty much have to stay in the middle, like everyone. You just need to make sure one person is. Like some things like Iron Banner will actually go faster the more people who stand in the actual zone, but generally as long as one person's in here, I don't think it speeds that up any at all. Sometimes you'll get some really fun enemies around here. I'll just go super fun. Or I'll just whiff my super, that's fun. Bonus enemies over there. Yeah, it's just a waiting and defense game, so just kind of hold down the fort. Lots of enemies will come. The longer you go, the bigger they'll get. Depending on what you're fighting, will be the enemies, be it Hive or Scorn or Cabal. There's a lot of variety to this one, actually. There's quite a few Cryo-Pods. I think there's 4, actually, like one of each race, if I remember correctly. Yep. And if people are popping orbs, well, that'll be cool. Orbs are going to work differently in Shadowkeep, so don't worry about those. 96, 97, 98, 99, and after 100, you are good to go. So the Cryo-Pod is pretty straightforward. Remember, just try and shoot these as they vent their gas. When you shoot those, you get 2 open at a time. Try and make sure you do get a direct hit on the boss, and you can hit the ground around him. That will still count. Hit 3 out of the 4 of those, it will freeze him, and then you defend him. So that is the Cryo-Pod. There are 4 different versions, 4 different like bosses you'll freeze. I think there's like a triumph to get all 4. But Cryo-Pod freeze is done. On to the next. Alright, Guardians, so this is going to be the Cabal Excavation. This is in quite a few planets, actually. And what this is going to be is kind of a Cabal drill. It's going to sit on one zone. You're going to have kind of missiles that fire down occasionally in ranges around it. So it'll be like, you know, the whole thing first, and there's like the front corner and the back corner. There's little areas in the like capture zone that you'll take damage for after a little while. So watch for those. When the capture percentage gets to about 30%, there's going to be a ship that flies out of the giant ship up above, And if you kill that ship, then it will kick over to the heroic version, which will cause a boss to spawn. When the boss is dead, you're done. So it's actually one that people can speed through fairly quickly. So hopefully we can do this one right. And of course, we are on IO, so great commentary. Don't stand in the center. Promise that's a bad idea. So there's the giant ship. That one's not moving. Just looks cool. Big laser beam is where the extractor is going to come out. It lands pretty slow. I just wouldn't try and stand under it. You will get squished. So once that thing lands, so you'll notice the capturing zone is pretty good size around it. You can see the big circle. And then when you start pretty early, you're going to have some adds that spawn in. Usually nothing crazy. But you'll also notice there's a whole lot of these red laser beams, which means if you stand on one of those, a missile is going to hit you in the head. So don't stand in it in the beginning. Kind of kicks you out of it to start. Once all the missiles launch down, it kind of clears the path. And then after a while, it's just one section that has the missiles. So just don't stand in that and you'll be alright. So here you'll have some enemies that come in for a little while, so you just got to hold down the fort for a bit. All Cabal, so not too bad. Watch for the shield guys, watch for a few Scions that might be a little farther away. They might be doing some sniping. And again, now you'll have the red zone over there getting the missiles, and it moves occasionally, so just, if you feel like you're taking damage and you're not sure why, that's why. Most of your shielded enemies are going to be these Centurions, so pop him. He's got a solar shield, they go down pretty quickly. And again, once you get to about 30, you can get out of the center zone. You don't have to worry about it as much. Trying to hang tight for as long as I can. When the ship actually flies out, it is at 30. So you see it actually pop out over there. So this is the ship you're going for, and you can start picking it off from pretty good range. Scouts, pulse rifles, snipers are probably your optimal ones. Machine guns have some range to them. Some are better than others. And as I was saying, you can kill this thing long before it actually shows up. Watch where you're standing again. Machine guns are pretty powerful, and they're probably going to have a range fall-off, so you probably can't do that, but snipers are still going to be pretty powerful. Then when Big Boy shows up, throw everything you can at him and kill him. So it's good to go town with Super. Throw everything you can. Hopefully your teammates are working with you on that one. This is a machine gun you can get. It's pretty powerful. As you can tell, it's kind of a beast, but that's a fun one you can get from Gambit. But that is basically it. As soon as this thing gets up to 30%, the ship will spawn. Find it in the sky. If you've got higher walls around you, you might not have as good visibility, but you'll have plenty of time to kill it. Even if it goes around for another circle, you'll be fine. Once that ship does fully die, that boss will spawn. Depending on wherever you are at, he's going to spawn pretty close in front of you. And then when he dies, the heroic public event is over. So once again, that is the Cabal Excavation, and on to the next one. Alright, Guardians, so this is the Taken Blight. You're going to have 3 phases to this. You're going to have a big, large floating blight in the sky. Basically, it's a big black and white floating ball. And then you're going to have, like, enemies that spawn within kind of a Taken shield. Now, the more enemies you kill, the percentage goes down, so you'll have less time to actually work on the blight. So everybody seems to have a different idea behind this one, but instead of killing the enemies, just focus all your fire that you possibly can on the Blight. But the way you do damage to the Blight, you have to pop in and out of the actual shield that's there. So it does get a little bit tricky. So I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. And it goes through 3 phases. So the Blight will appear. Can't usually miss it. So this is the big ball. Now it's immune right now and I can't do damage to it. But once the actual shield appears with the enemies inside of it, when you pop in and out of the shield, you get about 4 seconds to do damage. So I'll peek in, and notice I have Blight receding. So I can dump damage into the Blight until that's done, and then head back in here. But you'll notice it says 100% right now. Now if I kill these enemies, which is not what you should do, but if I kill these enemies, you'll notice the percentage will actually go down. 64%, I've killed a lot of them, so almost basically done. Now if I peek in and out, trying to get as much damage into the Blight as I can. As soon as the timer goes out, when enemies are dead, then this one is done. This is, again, the hardest one to get other people on board with doing. So then you got to go follow it to the next phase. Now, phase 2 is typically going to have more shields. And again, don't get confused with that one. That's something different. You have to go to the public event icon, which is that thing out there in the distance. So now out here, you'll notice this phase, I have 2 shields. And more enemies that I'm going to fight. Some of them get a little bit bigger. But again, every time you pass through the shield, you're able to put damage into this thing. Again, this is a crazy fast machine gun, but honestly, anything can work pretty well. If you have a grenade that will pulse on a location when you hit it, that's pretty good. Snipers actually are pretty powerful. And again, trying to kick this one off by yourself is not always the easiest thing to do. And even a super is actually not a bad thing to throw at it if you can get some good damage on it. And again, keep trying to pass in and out of the actual Blight. There you go. Still working on it. You notice this actually does take quite a bit of work. That's why it's harder to do by yourself. There are certain rocket launchers that can be very effective at this. But trying to dump this damage in on your own can be a bit tough, because there's a lot of things trying to stop you, and also in other people who are going to be around trying to shoot the enemies instead of shooting the Blight. There we go. Once you do enough damage to the Blight, it's going to go Heroic Event, and you're going to have a Major that spawns. So it's going to be the Blight Maker. All you have to do at this point is kill the Blight Maker and you're done. It's just usually hard to get some people to spawn the Blight Maker because they tend to want to just focus on killing the enemies and they're not entirely sure how to make it public or heroic. But once he is dead, he goes down fairly quick once you start focusing him down. That guy's going to town with a super. We got some sniper shots in his back, and he's usually pretty good. Almost done. And he's done. So the hardest thing about the Taken Blight is basically trying to put the damage into the orb. So make sure you pop in and out of the shields. You have 4 seconds when you come out of a shield to do damage, so keep popping in and out of the shield doing damage. If you don't get on the first phase, that's fine. If you don't get on the second phase, that's fine. You only have 3, though. If all 3 phases go through and you still haven't put enough damage into the Blight, you will not be able to turn that event to heroic. So that, again, is the Taken Blight public event. It's in a couple of places, but that is how you do it. And again, the more damage you dump, especially with heavies and supers, grenades like pulses that you can throw on it, are really helpful and effective at that one. So, on to the next one, but that is the Taken Blight. Remember, it's probably one of the hardest ones to get other people on board with, so do everything you can to kill the Blight. The enemies, they'll take care of themselves if people are doing other things. Alright, Guardians, so this public event is going to be the Glimmer Extraction. Basically, what's going to happen is you are going to have a fallen ship that brings some enemies in. There's going to be 3 fallen extractors. They're kind of like vandals. And then we've got a captain that will show up. While those 4 enemies are appearing, there's going to be a little glimmer, like, fusion thing that's going on. It's a little guy that appears off to the side. That one needs to die before the captain dies, otherwise you kind of miss your opportunity to kill it. So make sure you're killing... The extractors can die first, but my honest advice is wait on the extractors depending on what other people are doing, and then you can go ahead and kill everything else that follows. One of the good ways to do this, honestly, is to work with something like a shotgun. That's usually pretty powerful at killing the little thing as well. There's 3 phases to this. You got to do all 3. And I'll show you guys how this works. Anything works, honestly, if people are working together, usually pretty good. Alright, so first thing, you got these little 4 kind of fusion pods around the Glimmer Extractor. And you're going to have some enemies that pop in from the ship. These appeared behind me this time. Now, people can kill them very quickly, so you got to be careful. This is the little glimmer thing. Right here. People are working on it. So once that one is down, the next wave of enemies includes a captain. Once you have the little glimmer baby extractor done, then the captain can die and you'll move on to the next phase. Do that 2 more times, and then we'll get to the heroic section. So you're just going to have to follow the icon around the map. Usually depends on where the ship is going to fly in. You can usually look for it, too, when it's coming. It seems to be in the back, because you can see it all back there. So same principle. First you got the 3 extractors. They're going to be around. They're the ones with the icons above their heads. The little fusion thing is going to be back here off to the side. And everywhere's a little different, but you're looking for this thing right here. Once it is gone and broken, then when the captain comes in, you can kill it. And then we will be on to the last phase. So the next extraction site in this area, this is the opening of the European Dead Zone. This one's the nice little triangle over the center of Trossland, so it's pretty easy to track, but just follow the ships or just bring up tab and you'll find the icon as soon as it appears. It's pretty hard to miss. So there's the icons you're looking for, find those and you're good. And that guy's going a little speedy with the Nova Bomb. He's going to be a little quick on it, but here's again the extractor. Make sure you kill and focus on this one. Shotguns are pretty effective at it. There we go. Once all 3 are down, heroic event happens. This thing is going to fall to the ground. Just don't stand underneath it. Otherwise, you're going to get killed. And now, it is again a transmat the Glimmer. So basically, you're sending the Glimmer back to base. So you've got to hold down the defense point. Now, only 1 person has to stand in here. You're going to get a lot of enemies that spawn. Some majors, some bosses. But basically, it's just a defense thing. It's really not too crazy. So just hang out and shoot everything that comes at you. It's just going to be a lot of stuff in waves. At some point, you'll see a big boss that comes out of it. Grenades work well. Supers work well. Pretty much everything does at this point. Just somebody's got to be in here. And honestly, even if you run out of time, if your timer says 0 but you are still standing in the circle, you could be at 20 and be at the circle at 0 time. And as long as you don't leave the circle, you will still finish the event. So just stay in the circle and you're good. At some point, there's a big boss that's coming, so he's pretty hard to miss when he's towering over the walls. This one's actually going ultra quick right now. Maybe because more people are standing in it, it's going faster, but normally it does not go this fast. But we actually have a lot of people here. Somewhere there's usually a big boss. Haven't seen him yet. We may not even see him. And we're done. More people do tend to speed these things up a little bit. Sometimes it counts, sometimes it doesn't really affect as much. But that's the idea. You'll have 3 phases. You gotta kill the little extractor that appears later, before the captain dies each time. After the 3rd small extractor has been destroyed, then you will just hold down the Glimmer point. The more people that stand in it, the faster it seems to go. So that is the Glimmer Extraction public event, and on to the next one. Alright, Guardians, so this is going to be the Arsenal Walker public event. This is one of the few that you actually have to go a little slower than you think. Now, there's going to be a big spider tank that spawns, but you can't fully kill the spider tank until all 6 little shield generators have been destroyed. There's going to be 3 domes with shields. There's a little thing on each side. And as you break the fallen walker's legs, it's going to like pop out 3 orbs to turn off the shield generators. So you have to break 2 of the legs before you actually kill it, so you can get all 6 of them done. So I'm going to wait for this thing to start up, and I'll show you guys how it works. Alright, Guardians, so here we go. You're going to get a first wave of enemies. As soon as you kill those, then the spider tank will spawn. And remember, you want to break the legs of the tank, deposit the little shield disruptors, but don't fully kill the tank until it kicks over to Heroic. Then once you actually see Heroic, then you can go to town and kill both, because you're going to spawn a second tank. So these are shield domes. These are little shield generators. You can see there's 6 of them, 2 on each. Once you kill all 6, then we'll get it going. So I've got some friends in here for this one. Hopefully the strangers in this group don't go too quickly. And the thing about it is, if you really want to try and control it, try and take 1 orb generator to each of the 3 so you don't actually unlock these little scorch cannons, which can kill the tank even faster. So if you split them up, you'll actually tend to spread it out so people don't kill it too quickly. There you go. Try and spread them out so they go to different ones. That way you don't actually unlock the scorch cannons, which tend to kill the tank even faster. And that guy's going to do it. So again, not too much damage. Focus the damage on the leg. Usually pretty easy with something like a big grenade launcher. There we go. There's the second one. Second pair come out. And just find one that's empty. Once all 6 have been destroyed, then it should go Heroic. It takes a little bit to put them all in. When you see Heroic, then you can go to town on the tank. So you can just totally bust this guy up big time, because there's a second tank that's going to come in and you'll have to kill that. Now once the actual shields are open and you're working on the tanks now you can pick up the scorch cannons and go to town. They're actually pretty fun to use. They actually pop a lot of damage out once this guy's not immune. And you can do a lot with those. The way scorch cannons work, when you actually press, you'll hold it, and wherever it lands, it will actually start a charge. When you get up to the 3rd amount, that is when you'll get the most damage. So here's 1. There's phase 2. And phase 3. And once you hear that, you're good. You can let go and get a huge chunk of damage. Now, you'll do less damage once the center section is open for the tank. So what you're really looking to try and do is hit that open section. And it goes pretty quick once you've got a lot of people working it correctly. But you'll notice the neck of the tank kind of opens up. It's got the big orange glowy section right here. As soon as that opens, that's where you can do a lot of damage to the tank. Just don't do it too quickly until you've got that second tank to spawn. But once both are on the ground, it's game on and kill them all as quick as possible. So that is the Arsenal Walker. It's basically the Fallen Spider Tank public event. And hopefully that one helps you guys clear that one as well. So only a couple more left and we will wrap this whole thing up. Alright, Guardians, so this is going to be the Warsat public event, and this one is basically only on Mars. So this one is going to be a Warsat. Basically, it's a small war satellite that crashes down, and you have to defend it while the ghost is kind of doing its thing. And what you've got is you're going to have pairs of witches that spawn, and then the witches die. There's going to be a shrieker that opens up that you can kill. You have to do that 3 times, but you can't like stay in the middle the entire time, otherwise you'll finish it too quickly. So it's another one you can't finish too quickly, so you actually need to stay outside of the middle. I've got some teammates with me. Shout out to Havoc and Halo on this one. So you wait for the big thing to crash down. Don't stand under it. You're gonna get smashed if you do. Big smash, flash a light. Hard to miss. So this is the one. So locate and investigate the Warsat. So when you're standing in it, you can scan it. You gotta start the scan and this will start the public event. This is actually one from Destiny 1 that you used to have to do. This one has a twist. So as you stand in the middle, basically you'll be looking for the Shriekers and the Witches that spawn. Don't worry about that, that's not as big of a deal. So you're going to have some ads that spawn, plenty of Curse Thralls and Thralls that are around. And you'll notice there are going to be some things that spawn as you go. Now we're hanging in the middle. Plenty of ads will be spawning as we go. What you're going to be looking for are the Shriekers. They're kind of the floating, kind of purple diamond things that you're waiting to open up. And you'll be waiting for Witches to spawn, which are going to spawn each Shrieker. So these are the Shriekers. You can't kill them yet. You'll be looking for the first set of Witches to spawn. So once you find the Wizards, here they are. They go down pretty quick. There's usually 2 of them per. Once each one is dead, the Shrieker will open. You have to do that 2 more times. Now to move progress along, you can get back in the circle. You just got to make sure you watch your timing so you don't do it too quickly. That's the biggest thing. So we're at 33%. We're still pretty good. And the biggest thing is just, it's weird to say, but you just don't want to finish it too quickly. So if too many people stand in the middle or that it's going too quickly and you're getting toward the end, head to the outside and wait for more stuff to show up. Mostly it's just kind of a defend the point. And then as things tend to come in, you'll hear the noise when the Shriekers spawn and when the Witches come. So we'll back out a little bit. Here we go. Got some more ads coming. Again, just hang tight. Enemies will get a little harder as you go. Looking for our Witches. They tend to come at about, hopefully about now. There we go. Witches are hard to miss by sound. They have that wonderful shriek. Big shots into both of them. Here's the other one. Once that one's down, look for which Shrieker that opens up. It's going to be one of the 2 that remain. Put some shots into the crit spot and wait for part 3.
Careful out there, Guardian.
Alright, so we're at 62%. Last one will probably be about 75. And just to make sure you don't overdo it, as soon as you see the Wizards, peek out of this intersection and you should be good. Again, lots of enemies will just continue to spawn as you go, so just try and keep an eye out so they don't get overwhelming. Keep killing stuff as you wait. Again, knights, grenades, lots of things keep coming. Vanquishers with swords tend to be a little on the aggressive side. So we're at 76. Probably need to back out because this. There we go. Witches have spawned. There was one. Both are dead. Shrieker's going to die now. They killed him pretty quick. When all 3 Shriekers go down, that is when you actually kick off the Heroic. Heroic is going to be a big giant ogre. So usually the nicest thing to do is pop your super and help your friends out. Kill it as quick as you can. Supers are good. If somebody's got Well of Radiance, that'll make it even better. And just any way to pump as much damage into the ogre. And the ogre is going to have a giant crit spot, which is his face. So shoot the face with something powerful, and he dies. So that is the Warsat public event. It is on either side of Mars, both down here and up there. Actually, where it's spawning right now would be the Warsat as well. So Warsat after Warsat right now. But that is the Warsat public heroic event on Mars. And we almost done. Alright, Guardians, so this is going to be the Vex Construction. Now, the Vex Construction is going to have basically a main center section that you do not want to let Vex get near because they're going to try and, like, transmat near it. And you're going to have 3 things to stand on. Now, they're kind of hard to see. But basically what you're looking for are these small traces that kind of travel out. So you'll notice you've got these little platforms that will appear when you follow the little traces. So you see the trace going out to the side. Havoc is down there in one. Halo Bear is going to be over there and the other one on the far side. And then I'm right here in the middle. Now, enemies are going to spawn the whole time. And as you stand in these, you're also going to see these disintegrators. They're going to spawn. They're fanatics that will kind of explode when they get near you. So watch out for those. And those disintegrators will keep spawning while you're standing in these. Now, this is probably one of the hardest ones to solo. Mostly just because it's line of sight. What you don't want to do is have the Vex get to the center, because you can only have 10 integrations basically happen. So that means the Vex enemy gets to the very center, and then they integrate with that center core, and you can only have that happen 10 times. So if you're down there where Havoc is, it's really hard to see up here. So doing this one solo is really, really difficult, honestly. It's one of the hardest ones to solo, just because of line of sight more than anything. So then once you're done with yours, you'll notice the actual thing will go away. It will remove from the ground, and if you got anybody else who isn't done, then you can come over here, help them. And looks like they finished theirs up just in time too. Once all 3 have been stood in for the full time up to 100%, then you got to defend the middle. Now, if you do all 3 quickly, it will take the timer usually from about 3 minutes down to 2 minutes. So this is one that actually does speed things up, but you're going to have a lot of big enemies here. Integration Mine, for example, a big Hydra. Lots of enemies, and usually this is a fun time for people to start chaining supers. So as soon as things start happening, then you can start chaining supers, making orbs, wells of radiance, all those things, and just start going to town. It tends to be a little chaotic, but it's fun. But at this point, just make sure you're killing as much stuff as you can, working together, chaining orbs with people, using your heavy weapons, and just blowing stuff up. And the big thing is, see this person right here, that architector, he's trying to actually integrate. Didn't let it happen. As long as you keep, as long as more, you know, you can have 9 people do it, but as long as 10 don't do it, you're fine. Big thing is just time. So it's really hard to solo this one though, because those integrations get to be hard to defend when you can't see the center, when you're trying to stand in those little platforms off to the side. So soloing this one is kind of difficult. If you don't do it, it's not a big deal. Another Well of Radiance over here. Got some orbs. Got some guys that are trying to hold it down in the middle. Again, Havoc's in there defending. And the longer you go with this one, the crazier the enemies will absolutely get. So you'll get some big waves of crazy stuff. Quite a few Minotaurs in here that'll happen. But this is definitely Vex only on this one. So you'll be dealing with Harpies, Minotaurs, Goblins, Hydras. All Vex stuff pretty much all day long. And again, if your super comes back, go to town again. Almost done. So this is one of the ones that does actually feel like it's longer, but honestly it's a 4-minute countdown timer anyway. So if you take it down to 2 minutes, if you cut off about a minute, it's still faster than it was before. And then once the time is done, you're done. So it's really just a defend the center more than anything. But to activate the heroic part, remember you have to stand on those 3 platforms. They'll kind of slowly build as you stand in them. There's 3. They're usually in different locations around. There's usually one off to the side. And if you're looking for them, look for the linear traces like the line that was literally passing through the wall. The lines will actually guide you to where you need to go. So that, again, is the Disrupt the Vex Construction. Sorry, apparently I can't talk. Disrupt the Vex Construction. And typically that will be Vex related. So there's only a couple places that'll happen. All right, 1 or 2 more to go. Alright, Guardians, so this is on the Dreaming City, and this is called the Rift Generator. It only happens over here in the Strand at this location. What you're going to have is 3 lanes. There's one up the middle, one on the left, and one on the right. And it's kind of down into the foggy areas. You're going to have a lot of enemies that come at you in waves, basically just need to defend those. There are going to be abominations out in the distance that are going to be dropping kind of charges for this little battery that's going to be right here. You want to dunk those in so you keep the percentage as high as possible. But towards the end of some of the sections, like the big first wave, you're going to have a large black Taken Blight. Kind of looks like that, since we're in Curse Week 3. But it's going to be a big floating ball that starts out kind of mid-level. And it will fall into the ground slowly to kind of dissipate for time. You're going to have 2 out of 3 that you need to hit in the first section. And then the second wave will spawn the third one. So my advice is if you're trying to make sure this goes heroic, if you have anybody with you, obviously somebody's got to handle the abominations. And they can snipe you, so range is kind of tough. But what you can do is actually get a pretty good range up here, depending on what you see. You're going to see one kind of out here, kind of at the edge of the mist. One will be out here, and then one is going to be on the other side over there. Now that one's a little harder to see, but some vertical area that you can see a decent range of all 3 of these is going to help you out. Even a rock like this is going to give you a decent range. It doesn't take a ton of shots into this thing, but you do need to make sure and connect. So you want something with range, a pulse rifle, a scout rifle, sniper, you know, reasonably accurate long-range machine gun is going to work. But once this thing kicks off in about a minute, we'll show you guys how it goes. Once you have all 3 of those done, there's going to be a couple witches that spawn in the middle, and then you're actually going to go into the other realm, which is the Ascendant realm, where it's mostly black and white, and we're going to kill a boss in there. But once this thing comes back to kick off, I'll show you guys how it works. Thanks again to Havoc and Halo for helping me with these last few. You guys are awesome. Alright, here we go on the Rift Generator. So again, you've got 3 lanes. You've got the outside, middle, and outside on the right, left. So, what you're going to see is these abominations. These are going to be what are going to drop your Rift Generators, yet they snipe pretty well. So you want to make sure you kill these guys fairly quickly with anything you got that's powerful. And what they drop is an Arc Charge. Now you need to take this Arc Charge back to the middle and make sure this percentage up at the top stays up at 100%. If it gets low for some reason, so there you go, core integrity is 100%. The more enemies that get to the center, the lower the charge is going to be. So if for some reason it gets fairly low, you're going to need to kill the abomination again and go pick up a charge and get it up to the top. But if you keep it fairly well defended, the charge will not drop very low at all. As long as you keep it fairly high, nearly basically up to 100%, you should be good. My crew is crushing it right now, so you guys are doing awesome. This again is also a fairly tough one to solo just because you have a lot to manage and also a lot to look at. I've got a pretty optimal gun right now, and even this weapon's not going to hit as far as it does once Shadowkeep comes out, so don't worry about what weapons I'm using. Just focus on the act of what I'm doing. So out there, you see the core integrity is at about 92%. The Arc Charge did appear way the crap out here, so you got to go for a bit of a hike. So I'm going to come back, take it to the middle. And then again, once we get back, we're going to be looking for the big blights that are going to spawn. So we're repairing the core. Try and keep an eye out for the big black balls that are going to appear. Hang back a little bit so you get a decent vantage point. So here's one on the right. So what you're looking for. As soon as you see it disappear, and we've got one in the middle as well. You can see it out here. Not the easiest thing to see, but these are what you need to spot. You got 2 out of 3 on the first section. Now we're going to defend this left edge. A lot of enemies are going to come this way. Again, grenades, supers, chaining supers to each other is a good thing. Just working with whatever you can really to make life easier on each person. You're going to have a lot of enemies, so you're going to have a lot of things to kill. I can just throw my hammer out into the middle out there and still kill a bunch of stuff. So you got plenty of targets. There's another abomination. If you need some more things for your core integrity, we can go for a quick kill on that guy. Again, you can run out, pick up the charge, dunk it back in the middle, just keeping that core integrity as high as you can. Each defense does take a little while. There we go. Our Rift Generator up to 100%. I don't know if you need to have that thing up to 100%, but I tend to like to keep it there as high as possible. We've got all 3 blights taken out now, so at this point, we're going to be pretty good. You should potentially have to clear out the right side once these enemies are done on this side, or when you see these blights start to appear, then you know you've done what you need to do. So, at this point, wizards need to go down. Once all 3 wizards go down, then you're going to be transported to the other realm. Don't waste your heavy on the wizards. You got plenty of stuff to kill on the other side. Basically more wizards and an even bigger boss. So once this stuff goes down, should be in pretty good shape. Need to kill these wizards in the middle. Almost done. And wizards are down. So now once the wizards are down, you'll join the heroic. And now I've gone to the other plane. So now you're going to work on, there's like 6 wizards around. And a lot of enemies that are going to spawn. So you're going to be able to melt some stuff down pretty quick. Do what you can. Keep the enemies at bay. But what you've got is the wizards that are going to need to actually all be killed. And then the main boss in the middle is going to get his health. And once the main boss can actually be damaged, then dump everything you can into this guy. So this grenade launcher, as I said, is really powerful. He's using Sleeper Simulant, which is also quite powerful. And then once he goes down, you should be good. But you're going to have phalanx and wizards all around. Just got to do what you can to keep them at bay. But the main thing is, you have to kill the 3 blights, 1 on each lane. Make sure you keep the Rift Generator battery just about as high as possible. It's got to be pretty high, if not 100%. And then once all 3 are done, then the wizards are going to spawn. Kill all 3 wizards. You'll go to the ascendant plane, and then kill the boss in there without being killed by too much stuff. So that is the Rift Generator. Again, that only spawns on the Strand in the Dreaming City. 1 more public event to go. Alright, Guardians, this one is going to start quickly, so I'm going to explain as we go, but this is going to be the Ether Ritual. Now, basically what's going to happen, you're going to have an Ether container in the middle, and you're going to have a chieftain that spawns 1 at a time, Arc, Solar, and Void, and once you kill the chieftain, there's going to be some little floating clouds that start wandering towards the center. You need to shoot all the clouds before they get to the center. If you kill all of them, and I mean all, not missing one of them, you'll kick off the heroic, a big giant major boss will spawn, and then you need to kill him. So hopefully we catch this one in time. May not be set up on ammo, but the big thing about this is you have a lot of things to shoot. You're gonna want to bring with you things that have a lot of ammo. Auto rifles, pulse rifles, submachine guns, like heavy machine guns. Things that have a lot of ammo is going to be the key. So this is the ether ritual, and this is the ether container in the middle. So we've got off to the side our first chieftain. Once he dies, you're going to look for the little floating blobs. So you're going to want to make sure you have basically as much reloaded ammo as possible, and also a good line of sight towards all the little things that are going to spawn. So typically what I will actually do is I'll stand on this thing in the middle. Gives me a decent vantage point. And then once it dies, and that chieftain goes down, then here comes all the little floaty things. So you'll see these coming in. You're going to want to use anything you can to kill them quickly. Make sure all of them die before they get close. And phase 1 is done. Phase 2 is over here. Same principle applies. This chieftain is going to have a different shield type. One's arc, one's solar, one's void. They'll rotate through. And once the chieftain shows up, he's just going to be a little annoying. Got to work his health down. They have a pretty good chunk of health, these guys do, so they do take a little bit. I'm going to charge at him, get a little damage on him here, see if we can work him down a little faster. Alright, same thing. Once he goes down, look for the little floating orbs. Kind of orbs, cloud, tentacle, archy things. There we go. 2 out of 3. And final one, apparently over here. Usually they spin them a little more around. Now if they throw a little fire totem on you, make sure you kill the totem. Those are a little annoying. Last chieftain should go down fairly quick. Alright, so once he is down, again, looking for these things. And you'll notice they're going to generate from these kind of busted, from these things out here. The floating clouds are going to generate from these 3 things that you can see. Once you make sure you get them all, you're going to be dealing with typically a pretty giant boss. Now, if you haven't played the Forsaken campaign, might be a little spoiler as to what you're seeing, but that is one of the guys that you'll be fighting, kind of a different variation of that. And his crit spot is actually on his back, but you could fight an Abomination as well, just kind of varies. Either way, once you've spawned him, you've got the heroic event going on, so you pretty much just have to put everything you can into him and kill him. And when he dies, you're good. So that is the heroic public event ether ritual. And again, the big thing is, whenever each chieftain dies, make sure you're staring towards that section. Kill each one of the little arc clouds that come at you. After all 3 sections have been completely cleared out, then you will face the boss and you are good to go. So that is the ether ritual. That is all the public events. And let me wrap this thing up.